fast track gas engineer or fast track plumber or training to be a gas engineer. My name's Hart, and in today's video, I did a video probably about a year or so ago about how to become a plumber and should you become a plumber, and there were lots and lots of comments on that video. I think there were about 400 comments on that video. So in today's video, I'm going to try and go over some of them questions. So I'm here today with Michael from the National Gas Centre for Excellence. I'm going to ask him some questions. Michael's going to give us some answers, hopefully give you some answers on your journey to become a gas engineer or a fast track gas engineer, if you like. It's actually called MLP, which is a managed learning program. But we're going to try and answer some of them questions. And then at the end of the video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll down the questions from the previous video, and I'm going to try and answer as many of them questions as possible. So hopefully this will be a really good video for you today. So let's welcome Michael.
Cheers, Alan. So we run managed learning programs at the centre. We have done ever since we've been open for the past 18 months. And we always seem to get the same questions asked whenever someone's inquiring, and people want to know a lot about the journey, what the journey looks like, how much it is, what do they get at the end of it, so and so. So we thought, what better way of addressing some of those questions straight off than doing a video and sort of covering some of the frequently asked questions. And obviously it's not going to be a completely comprehensive video. We're not going to be able to answer every question that people might ask, so we'll probably end up doing a follow-up at the end of it. So if you guys want to let us know if you've got any other questions, would you like us to do a live session whereby we can ask questions straight off the bat? We'll do that, but yeah, we're happy to answer any questions on anything that you've got to do with the MLP. So yes.
So first question I would say is, how do you get, what's the journey? How do you get into being a gas? So you're doing a different job now, and you want to become a gas engineer. What's the journey? How do you start that?
So the journey of an MLP, we're probably better covering what it incorporates first, in terms of an MLP is basically a level 3 qualification that allows you to then go ahead and sit your ACS. Now, in order to do your MLP, part of it is a portfolio and it's a way of gathering evidence. So there's two routes to answer your question. The first route is for somebody who's got no experience of anything to do with the heating industry. So, for example, it could be someone like a postman or a gardener, or someone who's never worked in the heating industry ever before. So those people will be required to do a full MLP. The full MLP is the journey is, first of all, you'd need to decide and make a conscious decision that this is the career you want to follow. So the best way of doing that is reading up about the industry, finding out a bit more about it. I mean, we haven't got enough gas engineers as it is in the country, let alone the step across to renewables in the future. The gas engineers and the heating engineers in the industry are primed to sort of make the transition across to renewables, and the qualifications they've got enable them to then go across to the renewable industry. We have a massive shortage of engineers in the country, massive. So I've been in the industry 20 years now, and I've never been out of work. I've never had a day where I haven't had anything to do. So in terms of job security and whatnot, there's a lot to offer by being a gas engineer.
But what's the actual journey on that? So they ring you up. What do they need to do? From ringing you up, they book on a course.
Yeah. And
then what happens from there?
So you contact the centre, you ask any relevant questions you may have. We then get you the start date, which the next course, we haven't got an exact start date for it yet, but we're looking in sort of 3 to 4 months time, so we'll be looking around about August, September time. Once you've done that, we then issue you with your book, your training manual.
So that portfolio?
No, that's not the portfolio. We also give you a training manual, which is issued by the awarding body. That gives you the opportunity before you start the course to read up about as much as you like about the regulations, or etc. So things that you can reference, things you can read up about before you even set foot in the classroom. Then when you come to the centre for your first day, you'll spend 40 days in centre. The guided learning hours for a managed learning programme is 280 hours. So that's 40 days in centre, 40 days whereby you're in the classroom being trained by myself, and you'll be taught everything that you need to know from a theory perspective in terms of how to be a gas engineer. What we also do is many practical assessments. So we'll take you through in-centre practical assessments that cover various aspects of the heating industry. So for example, tightness testing, we'll get you to take a meter out, put a meter back in using the correct procedure, then tightness testing, that kind of thing.
What previous experience would people need?
So previous experience for a new entrant with no experience, absolutely not. You can come to us with nothing. As all you need is a desire to you know, the want to be a gas engineer, and the sort of mentality whereby you understand that you may have to sacrifice a little bit of time in centre to then get where you want to be in the future. So we get a lot of guys who I don't know, they're working in a job that they don't like, they're working in a career that they're not happy with, and they'll come to the centre and say, well, you know, how do we do it? And we'll say, well, you need to be here 1 day a week, 2 days a week, whatever the course is at the time. And they'll be like, oh, well, I work, I don't want to take time off. Well, that's fine, but you're never going to progress and be in a career that you want to be in, that you find rewarding without sacrificing that time. It's short-term pain for long-term gain, really. The other route that you mentioned, Alan, as well, if you have got some experience, you might be a qualified plumber, you might have your level 2 or 3 in plumbing, or a relevant industry, and you might want to then go and do your gas. Well, there's routes there for a reduced portfolio. The important thing to remember in this case is that you need to have the documented evidence. So ideally you'd have your old portfolio, you'd have your old write-ups that you use for plumbing. So part of the gas portfolio is things like pipework installation. As a plumber, you'll do lots of that. So you'll have that evidence and you'll have the certificate to document that you've got that. So we can use that evidence that you've got so that you don't have to do that aspect of the gas portfolio or parts of it. So that
how long would that take?
It depends on the person.
So if somebody phoned you up today and they've booked on course, they started the course, would it be realistic that it'd take them a year to complete that?
So yeah,
or sooner than that,
easily.
Or more than that?
So if we work out that you'd need about 6 months experience on site. So that's 6 months working with a gas engineer out in the field where you can collect evidence. However, from a completely new entrant, that person, we do 1 day a week courses and we do 2 day a week courses. So the 1 day a week, with it being a 40-day in-centre course, is 40 weeks long. So it's best part of a year. And the 2 days a week, that's reduced to 20 weeks because it's 2 days a week over 20 weeks. Now that's less than 5 months. Well, it's about 5 months. But really, that'll get them the portfolio and the in-centre stuff done, but they still need to complete whatever evidence they need on site. And that's generally down to the type of people that they're working with, and the type of work they're doing on site. You know, we have some guys that they work for social housing companies, so they get a wide range of various different jobs. So they're able to whiz through the portfolio really quickly, get all the evidence they need. We have other guys who never work with certain aspects of the industry, so therefore they might struggle and they might have to find themselves going out to find different parts of the job, whether that be fires or whether that be servicing of controls, that kind of thing.
One thing I'd say as well is about to try and get as much experience as you can.
Yeah.
On your way, make sure it's the right job for you as well.
Yeah, 100%.
In this trade, in this job, you're always learning. So I've done this job for 30 years and Michael's done it for 20 years, you said. Yeah. And I've just taught Michael today how to pump an expansion vessel. I'm just kidding. So you're always learning, and you need to you'll be reading instructions and you'll always be learning as you go. So it's not, when I go to something new, I'm learning. So yeah, it's just try and get as much experience as you can, but there'll always be somebody to help and support you. So we'll do videos for you. We'll try and help you on your journey as much as we can. Yeah, I'm babbling on, aren't I?
No, so yeah, I mean, the main thing is the centre is here to support you, and whether that be
what about placements? That's the key question, isn't it?
So one of the main questions we're asked is, what do we do about finding a placement? Now, a lot of guys come here and they've already got gas engineers that they know and they work with anyway, so that's really easy for them. They have a placement. They've got an engineer who's happy to take them out and give them the experience and sign off the paperwork that goes with it. Other guys come to us and they don't know anybody. Now, we have plenty of engineers coming through the centre, and we've got a network of installers and gas engineers in the area that are happy to help us. Where we fall down with that is we don't guarantee it. It's hard for us to guarantee it because we don't know what personalities we're going to get through. Not everybody gets on with everybody, so we get some guys coming through for MLP who they go out on site and they might be lazy, they might not want to put the effort in, and then it's really hard for us to convince an engineer who's going out of his way to keep that trainee, you know, up to date with the portfolio.
So it is about the individual.
It is. So that's why it's really important for whoever comes for an MLP to want to do it, and want to be keen, be eager to learn, be willing to put the hours in, and you know, be willing to sort of sacrifice short term so that in 6 months' time, 7 months' time, whatever it may be, in that ACS centre, sitting the qualifications and they come out as a qualified gas engineer. That's the goal for us.
I've had lots and lots of trainees with me. Yeah. When I worked at British Gas, we used to have people that'd been in army, and they might want to retrain, and they'd come with me, do a little bit, and then I've actually had people that's been to other training centres where they've been promised placements, and sometimes training providers promise things that they can't fulfil, and then you get people phoning round. So, you know, it's the placements. I think is that's the tricky thing. That's the hard thing. But what I'd say with that as well is I've had people phone me up. I had one lad, Phil, who now is driving a Range Rover, which is a success story for me. But he phoned up. I turned him down. I says no. And then a few weeks later, he phoned me again, and he says, I know that I phoned you a few weeks ago, but I just wondered, you know, I've seen your videos and can I come out with you? And I thought, you know what, I'll give you that chance. So what I would say is that it's not easy, but if you put the effort in, then don't just expect whichever training centre you go to, but don't just expect them to do everything for you, because they're not going to do everything for you. You've got to want it, you've got to try, you've got to put the effort in, and when people say no to you, you've got to keep trying. So, you know, phone loads of gas engineers up. It's
the same as if you were a school leaver and you wanted to do an apprenticeship. You know, the college doesn't find you an apprenticeship. You get the apprenticeship first, and they generally tend to find you a college. It's the same way. As a training centre, we will do everything we can to support you, and we will do everything we can to put you in touch with people who potentially will take you out and give you.
So just going through the portfolio then. What is in the portfolio? So they go away and they have to fill this portfolio in.
So every managed learning programme, depending on what training provider you're going through, has a different portfolio. So our awarding body is UK certification. And again, I've said it on other videos, we use UK certification because the portfolio for me is really inclusive, and it gives the trainees a really good foundation to then step off from. There are a lot of training providers out there that give you a really poor standard of portfolio to complete, and it might be really easy to get through and get your qualifications, but you go out into the industry significantly underprepared for what you're going to come up against. So for me, the UK Cert portfolio was really inclusive, and it gives you a really vast amount of experience before you then go out on your own or go out and work for somebody. Nobody wants to qualify as a gas engineer and then go to the first job to find out that they're going to sink or swim and probably going to sink. So the portfolio consists of various modules, and every module has tasks that the candidate or trainee has to complete before they can have the sign off on that module, if you like. So for example, chapter 1 or module number 1 might be pipework installation. So they'll be given 4 jobs that they'll have to record, and on those jobs they'll have to meet a list of criteria, and they'll have to evidence that. So one of the criteria might be that checking that a gas pipework is capped off. So a photograph or a write-up from a mentor of them capping off a gas pipe. Some form of evidence. A lot of people do videos as well. Videos are a good way of doing it, but obviously that is how you evidence that. You have to get a hard drive or something to be able to evidence that. But ultimately, there's about 10-11 modules, and every single module needs to be completed in order for us to then, unless you've got evidence from a prior qualification that you can use to supplement it. But yeah, the portfolio is probably the most time-consuming part of the MLP. You've got 40 days in centre where we will teach you everything you need to know about being a gas engineer from a theory perspective, and you will get a lot of practical practical experience in centre with us as well. You'll learn a lot of what you need to know out there in centre with us, but nothing is gonna, anyone who's done an apprenticeship will know, what you learn in college is the theory. Actually getting your hands dirty and being out there and putting it into practice is where you do the majority of your learning. And that's where the MLP comes into its own. In my view, the difference between an MLP and an apprenticeship is, as an apprentice, you're under the wing of your employer. They help you out quite a bit. With an MLP, it's on you. And that's why, in my view, a lot of MLP students come out better engineers, because they've done it off their own back. They've done it generally when they're a little bit older. They're a bit more wise. They've got more life experience. They understand the importance of it, as opposed to being a sort of 16-year-old school leaver who's gone into college and might not really know what he wants to do or she wants to do, but has just done it because it seemed like a good idea, only then to a few years in to realise that it's not really where the heart lies. They don't want to do it. So an MLP route for me is it's a really, although it's frowned on by a lot of people in the industry who don't really seem to understand it, it's a really good way into a thriving industry. People talk about gas being a dead end industry. I mean, I've got probably 30 years left working, and I'm absolutely certain on the last day of my career I'll be doing something to do with gas. It's not going anywhere during my life.
The good thing with the gas is that once you're qualified to do the gas, then you can go on to do other fields. So you could go on to do your renewables. So I've just done, just a few weeks ago, I've done my level 3 in air source heat pumps. I've then gone on to install an air source heat pump with Michael at my house. So we're always learning. That's what the job is.
And that, there's no qualification for you to go and be a heat pump engineer or a renewables engineer. In order to go and sort of do the changeover for heat pumps or whatever renewable technology you want to look at doing, you have to have a relevant qualification. And your ACS is a relevant qualification. So if you're a gas engineer, you can transition into that renewable sector really easily. And the other thing is, we just spoke about me doing Alan's heat pump. I had to be a qualified gas engineer to take Alan's gas boiler out. So if you're not a qualified gas engineer, you're quite limited as to what you can do as a heat pump engineer or as a solar thermal or whatever it may be. You need relevant qualifications to enable you to do the whole job, not just part of it, and not be reliant on other trades. So in terms of transitioning across to what we might look at as the future of the heating industry, gas engineers are going to be the forefront.
Shall we move on to some of these questions that's been asked in this previous video?
Certainly. So guys, Alan's given me the iPad with a few questions on regarding the MLP, questions you guys have sent in. There's 9 in total that he's selected for me to answer, so I'm assuming that I'm going to work through these 9 and give you all the answers that you need. So the first question is from Imran, and Imran's asked, "Hi Alan, thank you for this video. Does gas engineering have to be supplemented with plumbing work? What if someone is not interested in plumbing so much but wants to pursue a gas engineering work alone? Is this possible or realistic? I'm thinking of becoming a gas engineer and want to work on boiler servicing and replacements mainly. What's your take on that? Because I don't think plumbing work in itself is something I would be interested in." So what I would say to Imran is, first of all, plumbing and gas are quite similar industries, so you will have to have aspects of plumbing abilities to be a gas engineer. So if you're a gas engineer, you will have to come across unsafe situations that you'll have to deal with, and part of that is isolating pipework, or capping pipework and whatnot. So you need to understand how fittings are made, how capillary fittings work, how compression fittings work. You'll have to be able to work with them. If you're not going to be on the installation side, then it's not going to be as much of an issue for you in terms of pipe installation. You won't have to do much installation work. However, you do have to have the ability to do so. So how that would fall into an MLP would be that you would be shown how to joint pipe work on your MLP. You carry out some exercises and you demonstrate that you're competent to do so. But then when you go out into the field once you're qualified, unless you chose to go into an installation setting, you wouldn't really have to work with making joints and whatnot, unless you came across an unsafe situation, in which case you would have to deal with that in the appropriate manner, and that could involve capping off a gas pipe with a soldered fitting or a compression fitting, whatever's applicable at the time and the situation. So to answer your question in short, you will have to have some plumbing abilities, but the actual physics behind it are completely different. We work with different pressures, different fluid. Well, a gas is a gas, it's not a fluid. So yeah, you don't really need to know all the things you need to know for plumbing for gas. The next question. Hi Alan, I have no experience before. Do you still take give advice about starting a course? At the moment I'm working as a courier and I always wanted to learn some skills. So I have no experience before. Do you still like to give me advice about starting a course? So yeah, what I would suggest to Insel is that if you contact the centre and you do an MLP, you will be given all of the information that you need, and you'll be given all the training that you need to be a gas engineer. It's not something that you will just be thrown in the deep end with. You'll be guided through every stage. So although you've got no experience, that won't put you at a disadvantage really, because most people who come through for MLPs don't have any experience of this industry. So if you have the desire to be a gas engineer, and if you want to be a gas engineer, and you're happy to put the work in to learn and pick up the skill set you need, then yeah, I mean, the question asks is that does Alan like to want to give advice? But yeah, if you come to the centre, you will be given all the training and support that you need to be a gas engineer. I hope that answers the question. It wasn't that clear. David asks, a serious question. I've thought about becoming a plumber in the past, and I've always talked about it, and I've always been talked out of it by people who say I'm too small. Would you say I would struggle being 6'5"? I think this is put in as a bit of a joke, although it is a serious question. I'm 6'3". I don't think you've got an issue. Hi Alan, this is Linto Chaco asking this question. Hi Alan, I'm a beginner with no prior gas industry experience, looking to start a fast track gas course in a few months. Would you recommend doing this course as I'm a beginner? Could you please advise on a good training centre near Watford, Herefordshire, where I can get good hands-on experience and an assistance in a placement to build a portfolio? Would you recommend doing this course as you're a beginner? Yeah. It's like any career change. If you want to pursue a career in a relevant industry and that's what you want to do, and you've identified that industry as a place you want to work, of course, doesn't matter where you're starting from. It says you're a beginner. I don't know whether you've got any experience, but even if you've got none, that's what MLPs are for. Managed learning programs are there so that people with no experience can gain the experience they need. I can't really help with regards to training centres near Watford and Herefordshire. So I can't really advise on that, but in terms of assistance in getting a placement, go on the Gas Safe Register, type in your postcode as if you're looking for an engineer, and ring every engineer that you can and just ask them the questions. Look, I'm really keen to be getting into the industry. This is what I want to do. I'm going to go and do a managed learning program. I'll have to do a portfolio as part of it. Can you assist me in I'll work for free. I mean, if you go to, if I'm a gas engineer, if somebody rang me, if someone rang me who was going to be enrolling on an MLP and said, can I come out and work for you but I want paying, I'd very much be thinking, well, hang on, you've got no skill set up to now. What use are you going to be? I'm the person helping you out by putting you through your qualifications. So if you're going to start looking for someone to help you with your portfolio, you need to accept you're going to be doing it for nothing. You're not going to be working for somebody and being able to be paid for it in most cases. You might touch lucky and get somebody to assist you in paying you a wage, but most people work for free in order to get the experience. That's all you can do. Gas Safe Register, type your postcode in, contact everybody you can and try and get a placement. And work for free, be keen, tell them how, come across really keen on the phone, sell yourself. I hope that answers your question. Hi Alan, if I finish both level 2 and level 3 City and Guild diploma in plumbing, where do you think I should start by getting real working experience? Find a job as a plumber, or would it be easier to start from being an apprentice? So I'm assuming that the questions, I think the question's asking if they want to go into being a gas engineer from being a level 2 and 3 plumber. If you've got a level 2 and 3 City and Guilds as a plumber, then there'd be quite a lot of the portfolio that you wouldn't have to complete, because you complete a lot of it as part of your plumbing portfolio, and the modules on your certificates will be able to use that information to say, well, this guy's already been evidenced by City and Guilds doing this and that on this portfolio, therefore he doesn't have to do that. We can use that as recognised prior learning. What we can't do is basically say, well, you've done a City and Guilds in plumbing, therefore you don't need to do the portfolio, because there will be a lot of the portfolio that you don't know about, because you might be a plumber but you're not a gas engineer. So yeah, my advice would be, I wouldn't go down the route of an apprenticeship. If you've done a level 2 and 3 City and Guilds in plumbing, then I'd imagine that you've been in college for a number of years. You probably don't want to start another 2 or 3 year course. So I would suggest an MLP would be a route for you, and you wouldn't have to do it. It wouldn't take you as long as what it would a new entrant. So I hope that answers your question. This is a long one actually. Gareth Williams, I'm 33 years old and looking to change careers. I live in the West Midlands area and I'm currently working with the NHS. Due to what I have seen during the last year with the lack of respect that the government has shown us with work within the NHS, I have had enough and will need a change. I want to be in a career that I feel valued in for what I give. My biggest problem is that I just can't leave work though and go to college due to having a mortgage, so I think that an apprenticeship is the best way forward for me. So a couple of questions. Would you recommend I do an introduction to plumbing course before trying to get an apprenticeship? I have no experience within the plumbing industry. Where's the best place to find an apprenticeship? As a plumber's mate, secure income and hours and regular hours. How much is a plumber's mate likely to be paid? I need to see that I will be earning roughly the same as I am with my current job. Thank you so much, Alan, for sharing your knowledge and about the trade. I have learned more watching these videos than in all the research I currently read upon. So there's a lot to answer there. Gareth, I completely understand that you probably feel undervalued by the government given what's gone on over the last few years. I sympathise with you. What I would say is, even if you go and do an apprenticeship, you're not going to be able to do an apprenticeship without getting hands-on experience, and the only way you're going to get hands-on experience is by going out and working with somebody. You will have to sacrifice your job or some time within your job to do that. You're not going to be able to stay in the NHS and have a comfortable, have the security of your job in the NHS and do an apprenticeship with no hands-on experience of being on the tools. You can do night courses, but again, that's not going to get you around the fact that you need to get the experience on site. The best thing I would suggest is, I mean, you've said it's hard. How much would a plumber's mate earn? Plumbers mates, what they would earn, I wouldn't like to guess. I would probably guess plumbers mates are earning around about, certainly up in the north of England, I would suggest they're earning around about 20, 25, that sort of bracket really. I don't know what you're earning now, so I can't compare that. Obviously, I wouldn't expect you to put that on the post, but again, I said on the video earlier on, it's about short-term pain for long-term gain. If you take the fact that most engineers, I mean, down south they'll be earning a lot more, but up in the north of England, most engineers that I know of who are working for companies are earning around about anywhere between 35 and 45,000, depending on how good they are. If you wanted to go and do a night course, that would probably take you a couple of years. A couple of years as a plumber's mate earning 20 to 25,000 pounds. Again, that's an estimate. I would suggest you'd probably be better off saving up some money, using those savings to supplement your income while you're doing MLP, which you could conceivably have completed within 6 months to a year, depending on how quick you are. And then being out in the industry earning some real money. So that's the best advice I could give you. This is what I was speaking about earlier on, Gareth. I do sympathise with you, but it's hard when you've got got financial obligations and you can't really afford to take the risks because you've got a family and a mortgage maybe. But that doesn't get around the fact that you need to, if it's something you want to do and you want to move out of the industry you're in or the situation you're in into the gas industry, you're going to have to take risks and you're going to have to sacrifice short term. That's just how it is, mate. I'm really sorry. I hope that gives you some food for thought. If you do want to contact me in the meantime, on Facebook or whether it be via Alan's YouTube channel, I'll give you any advice I can, mate, to help you. But I don't see any quick workaround where you're going to be able to keep your financial security and take make the move across into another industry, unfortunately. John Straw says, I'm too old to get into the self-employed plumbing and am I too old to get into self-employed plumbing and electrics at 42? Absolutely not. Some of the MLP students we've had come through are older than 42. It depends on you, your level of fitness, your level of motivation. I don't know what you do now, John, so I would suggest if you're 42 years of age, you're still relatively fit, you're not suffering from aches and pains, and you've still got the fire and the hunger in your belly to go out and be self-employed, I would suggest, yeah, what's stopping you? 42 is not old, in my opinion. Lots of engineers I know are 42 and still doing really well at what they do. So, yeah. Mohammed says, I need some advice. I'm 32 and a taxi driver. Can I still become a plumber? Well, why not? Why can't you become a plumber, Mohammed? What's stopping you? There's nothing stopping you. If you want to go and be a plumber, a gas engineer, whatever you want to do, you're 32 years of age. I think the average MLP age that we've got is about 32. There or thereabouts. I'm 36, I've been doing it 20 years. You might lack the experience at that age compared to other plumbers who've been in the industry for longer, but that's not an issue. If you're willing to go out there and make mistakes and learn and put yourself out there to gain the knowledge, then yeah, 32 is not old at all. And that's pretty much it. That's all of the questions that we've been asked. There's a couple of curveballs in there that Alan's left in for me, but yeah. So I hope that helps, guys. And any other questions that you may have, feel free to continue sending them through. I'm sure Alan will send them through to me, and I can answer them to the best of my ability. In the meantime, at the centre, if you want to contact us, you can email us at hello@ngcfe.co.uk. Or contact us via the website, whatever you want to do, www.ngcfe.co.uk. We will happily give you any information on managed learning programs or any other course. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I hope this video was worthwhile for you. Feel free to like and subscribe and give us any feedback that you feel is relevant. Thanks very much, guys.